From the Boulevard Room of the Jefferson Arms, it's time for the Playhouse Party. And now here's your host, St. Louis's musical master of ceremonies, Russ David.
Oh, yeah! Hello, hello, hello. What a wonderful word, what a wonderful word, what a wonderful word, hello. I'd like to introduce the musicians, Mr. Cliff Fredrickson, my son Danny David, the drummer, Tom Kennedy, bass, Eddie Plitt, our engineers, my special guests are Bob McDowell, and an additional guest is Mr. Bob Newkirk. How about hand for Bob? We've had a little trouble here with Dottye. I understand she had a little accident, not a major accident, but Mr. Newkirk, would you come up here just a moment? He's a pro. And pick up that microphone there, Bob. Pick up that mic there.
Thank you.
Bob is a performer that was on the show some time ago, and he's basically here because he wanted to tell you why he's here.
Well, the big thing that I did in my singing career for 23 years was I was the last singer on Don McNeil's Breakfast Club radio show out of Chicago, 36 long years, and I sang on that the last 6 years. But I've been in other businesses, and the good Lord's been real good to me. And I made a pledge 12 years ago because I got into another business, so I made my living doing something else. And I made a pledge to God to sing for charities, fundraisers, churches, anything philanthropic, anything positive, anything God-centered. I sing for nothing. Have been doing it for 12 years. Been living in St. Louis for just a little over a year. So we're just trying to get that news out to people, so that if you are involved in an organization or a church or something, and I'll be happy, just give me a call at 423-4477. Write it down, get your pens out. 423-4477. And if not, you can bug Russ David, call him at home, ask for my number, it's okay.
Now, thank you, Bob. And I thank you for being here. You're very gracious. Bob's going to do a medley of songs because this whole show is going to be based and will be based on songs of World War II, and later on I'll tell you about that. But Bob has this medley, and you might discuss it a moment.
This is a medley of songs that I've been singing for a lot of years now, and it's a good one. I mean, songs that you're going to recognize, and as it was said before, I mean, it's not kind of songs that we don't understand what the lyrics are, but this is one we know. You must remember this: a kiss is still a kiss, a sigh is still a sigh. The fundamental things apply as time goes by. And when two lovers woo, they still say I love you. On that you can rely, no matter what the future brings as time goes by. Moonlight and love songs, never out of date. Hearts full of passion, jealousy and hate. Woman needs man, and man must have his mate, that no one can deny. Everybody sing it along with me. Here we go. It's still the same old story, a fight for love and glory, a case of do or die. The world will always welcome lovers as time goes by. You'd be so easy to love, so easy to idolize all others above. So worth the yearning for, so swell to keep every home fire burning for. We'd be so grand at the game, so carefree together, that it does seem a shame that I can't see your future with me, 'cause you'd be oh so easy to love. Behold the way our fine feathered friend his virtue doth parade. Thou knowest not, my dim-witted friend, the picture thou hast made. Thy vacant brow and thy tousled hair show me you're not to blame. Thy noble, upright, truthful, sincere, and slightly dopey dame. That's a verse to a very famous Rodgers and Hart song called You're My Funny Valentine. Sweet comic Valentine, you make me smile with my heart. Your looks are laughable, unphotographable, yet you're my favorite work of art. Is your figure less than Greek? Is your mouth a little weak when you open it to speak? Are you smart? Are you smart? But don't change a hair for me. Not if you care for me. Stay, yes, stay, little Valentine. Stay. Day is Valentine's Day. It seems we stood and talked like this before. We looked at each other in the same way then. Can't remember where or when. The clothes you're wearing are the clothes you wore. The smile you were smiling then. Can't remember where or when. Some things that happened for the very first time seem to be happening again. And so it seems that we have met before, then we laughed before, then we loved before, but who knows? Who knows where? Who knows where or
That's a performance.
I'll tell you what. We'll have Bob come back and do a couple other songs. Naturally, you want it. So do I. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I want to thank the boys for cold sight reading that. How about a nice hand for the boys? They'd never seen those parts before. We both got on golfing time. What did you shoot at sunset?
I shot your age.
Shot an 80? I'll be 80. You didn't shoot 79. You did?
78 or 79.
What are you, a scratch golfer? I mean, really.
No, I'm not. I haven't played that much, but I'm looking forward to playing with you in the next couple of weeks.
Well, we're going to play. Okay. I'll tell you one thing I know. I know how many strokes he's got to give me now. I'll tell you what. Let's do the Grand Lady, and then Dottye is here. Dottye, are you okay?
I'm okay, Russ. Do you want to hear what happened?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, folks, I had a brand new blouse, and I tried to cut the price tag off of it, and I cut my finger. So that meant I couldn't wear that blouse, right? So I had different color stockings on, had to change, put black stockings on, had to get, this is an old blouse, my old blouse, and my cut finger, and my knuckles were white on the steering wheel as I drove down here. They had to pry my hands off of the steering wheel in the garage.
You look like you're wearing a thimble on your left thumb. Yes, dear. Okay, now tell you what. Dottye will be singing in a minute. Let's give her a moment to warm up here. You got your Grand Lady there? Let's do that now, huh?
Our Grand Lady is Clara Wiederhold. She is 99 years young, and she will be 100 in November.
Oh my goodness, what a German name that is. Wiederhold. Wiederhold. Is that the right name?
Wiederhold.
Wiederhold. Aha. Yeah. You got to be kidding about being 99. You forgot something. You're younger than that.
I don't like it.
When were you born? When were you born?
Orton?
Yeah, what year were you born?
1893.
1893. That's it. That's it. Where? Huh?
In November the 11th.
November the 11th?
Yeah.
1893. I was born in 1913, November 20th. Where were you born? What part of the, were you in this town where you were born?
Pardon?
Were you born in this city?
In the city, yes. I always did live here.
Yeah. What part of the city? North, south?
South.
South St. Louis.
South St. Louis.
Yeah.
All my life.
Have you ever been married?
Oh, yeah. Got 3 sons.
Huh?
I got 3 sons.
Yes. Oh, the notes. Yeah, Dad. Look at the notes. All right. 99 years young. Lives with one of the sons, and her boys went to the Garfield school.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, and we used to go to the show, your show.
For the Peevely Dairy Show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
White on the bottle, pink on the cheap.
A long time ago.
Old Russ David can't be beat.
Went with the Mother's Club.
Let me ask you: Have you had a lot of fun?
Oh, yeah. I had a lot of fun. I had a good life. Thank God for that.
Oh yeah, Dottye, you remember that song? Are you having any fun? What you getting out of them? Dong? Any fun? Come on, sing this to her.
If other people do, why can't you have a little fun? Now, if you ask me to remember the bridge, I'm going to walk away.
Are you having any fun?
Are you having any fun?
Are
What
you
you
up
getting
to
out of
making
living? What good is what you've got if you're not having any fun?
sweetie? Well, we have a lovely orchid for Clara, and we hope that you'll wear it in good health.
She says she doesn't sing anymore. Maybe she could sing a little tune with you.
Do you sing?
Pardon?
Do you sing, Clara?
No, I don't sing.
I'll bet she does.
No, I can't sing.
You know, do the let's meet in hearts.
Oh. Do, leaves me in hairs and boys make me goody, dear man.
Everybody.
You know, that's the second time I had to sing that song.
When was the first time?
Legion, a few months, just a couple of months ago, the Legion, American Legion Auxiliary. Yeah.
Well, if you were there at the Legion, I hope the guys were sober enough to hear you. Because I've been some of the parties when they went and heard a bomb go off. Anyhow, Claire, it's fun to have you here. Her hobbies are crafts, and she lives with one of the boys, huh?
All three boys.
3 boys.
Yeah.
What's the boy that you live with? What's his name?
His name is Eugene.
Eugene.
Yeah, and I have 3 wonderful daughter-in-laws. They're more like daughters than daughter-in-laws.
I'll tell you one thing. If a mother doesn't get along with her daughter-in-laws, it's pure hell. So a mother-in-law better learn to live, and that goes for the daughter-in-laws also, because then it makes it.
Pardon?
It makes it Gemütlichkeit.
Okay.
Thank you very much for our grand lady, 99. Dottie, do this medley we're going to do at the opening of the show. And the reason we're doing this, in a few moments we're going to be talking to Bob McDowell about the PT boat convention that was in town, and but you'll know about that. This first one, this is songs from World War II.
This is the Army, Mr. Jones. No private rooms or telephones. You had your breakfast in bed before, but you won't have it there anymore. This is the Army, Mr. Green. We like the barracks nice and clean. You had a housemaid to clean before, but she won't help you out anymore. Do what the buglers command. They're in the Army and not in a band. This is the Army, Mr. Brown. You and your baby went to town. She had you worried, but this is a war, and she won't worry you anymore.
Thank you, Doug. This was probably one of the biggest ballads in World War II. I'll be seeing you.
Alone, because to tell you the truth, I'll be lonely. I don't mind being lonely. when my heart tells me you are lonely too. I walk alone. They'll ask me why, and I'll tell them I'd rather. There are dreams I must gather, dreams we fashioned the night you held me tight. I'll always be near you, wherever you are, each night, in every prayer. If you call, I'll hear you, no matter how far. Just close your eyes and I'll be there. Please walk alone and send your love and your kisses to guide me till you're walking beside me. I'll walk alone.
I'm going to be speaking to my guest in just one moment. I was wondering when I should do this song. Fellas, you got a thing there called the P.T. Boat Song. Bob, you have a microphone over there? Did Debbie give you a microphone? This song was given to me by Rumsey Ewing, who got it from a Mr. Vanderbilt, as I remember.
That's right.
And Vanderbilt evidently had gone to school with either Richard Rodgers or Rodgers and Hammerstein. What's the story of that, do you know?
Vanderbilt was in P.T. boats and therefore was a friend of Richard Rodgers, and he asked Rodgers and Hammerstein to do this number. So they wrote this thing especially for the P.T. boats.
Well, anyhow, we did it, and I would imagine some of the people hadn't heard this song Saturday night, Bob.
I hadn't heard it until the other night myself.
Is that right? Well, certainly I hadn't, so just vamp in G. You got it there? We found some hunks of plywood and we made them fit, and we stuck them all together with some tacks and spit. The first thing you know, we were burning up the seas in a flock of flying splinters that we call PTs. And we love those flying splinters that we call PT. Steady as you go, steady. Wind her up and give her the gun. Pour the soup and make her rattle. Make that eggshell run. Steady as you go, steady. There's a puff of smoke in the sky. Got a date to meet a battle. Make that eggshell fly. The PTs are the peewees, they're the midgets of the fleet. But the biggest one the enemy's got is the one we want to meet. So keep the little rough and ready. Steady, steady. Everybody steady as you go. It was one of the most impressive, warm meetings for any group I have ever played for, Bob. And why were they called PT boats?
They were patrol torpedo boats. The idea was to go out and intercept the fleet of enemy ships. We were the first ones to meet the ships because we were what they called expendable. You didn't have to sacrifice a destroyer or a cruiser or a major ship. We would go out there and decide how many ships were coming through the strait, what their firepower was, what their direction was, and then hope to throw a torpedo into them and get the heck out because we were 3/4-inch plywood.
No armor plate?
No armor plate. Fortunately, an awful lot of shells would go through those boats, and that really frustrated the enemy.
That's a funny way to put it.
That's really true.
Yeah. They wouldn't sink. They just kept going. Well, I'm not going to say it wouldn't sink, but they had two-part torpedoes, one on either side of the boat?
Yes, we did. We started out originally in the war with 4 torpedoes, and we wound up with 2 because we put so much other type of armament on it. We put more guns, more rockets, more depth charges, everything you could think of.
How fast would these boats go?
The fastest boat during the war was 63.5 knots, which is 70 miles an hour, but that was done in the Atlantic Ocean in tests over here. When we got over to the Pacific, which is where I was, and you loaded the boats down with all the equipment, we could do about 40 knots and wish we could do 70.
Yeah. How many guys survived this ordeal?
Fortunately, most, but we had more casualties per capita for the number of people in the service than any other surface vessel in the United States Navy. And we logged more actual combat time with the enemy than any other type of surface ship.
What were you telling me? There was a man dancing out on the floor, and while he was dancing, you came up and sat on the piano and you said, "See that guy there? That man had his foot shot off when he went to get MacArthur on Bataan."
That's really true. He was with Admiral Bulkley, who was a real hero of the war, who actually went in and got MacArthur out of the Philippines when he was trapped in there, and this was just shortly before the Bataan Death March. The President of the United States wanted MacArthur out of there. They didn't know how to get him out, and our fleet in the Philippines at that time consisted of 3 PT boats, if you can believe it.
That's all?
That's all we had at that time. We had lost so many ships, in Pearl Harbor, and they hadn't felt that they hadn't shored up the Philippines in that length of time. So the PT boats went in and took MacArthur out. This man, his name was Baron Chandler, was on the boat with Bulkley and had part of his foot shot off. And you saw him go at the dance. He danced for 3 nights here, and he was terrific.
Oh, he was just wonderful. Just wonderful. Now,
I'd like to tell you what made that crowd jump. It was this man right here and that wonderful Russ David orchestra. They had us really sailing.
well, I'll tell you, when you see guys that have seen service and that kind of service, did you have to sign any special thing when you joined a PT boat crew? Because, man, you were expendable.
We were. At that time, you had to be volunteers, and they tried to select single men. As PT boats grew in numbers, 500, they eventually took married men, but it originally started out with volunteers.
How many guys did we have at the Adams Mark?
We had 112 people. About 70 of them were officers of PT boats.
Yeah. Oh, they were just great. Now, I've known Bob many, many years, and you probably have heard of Ludwig Aeolian. First there was Ludwig Music Company, and then there was the Aeolian Piano. Then there was a merger, right?
Yes, there was, and also St. Louis Band and Rhine Music Company.
Because that's where all of the symphony players in those days had studios at Ludwig, and they taught piano, they taught trumpet, they taught clarinet. Leonard Zotterell. Who was the trumpet players? You had Joe Gustad.
Joe Gustad at St. Louis Band Instrument Company, one of the finest trumpet teachers in the city.
In the world at that time.
In the world, I didn't want to say too much, but he's the best.
Oh, yeah. So they did all this teaching, and you took care of entertainers' needs like Russ David here.
Yes, we did. I did want to say that we had 100 teachers on our staff, and we taught 2,500 students a week for quite some period of time.
Well, I'll tell you, these people meant a lot to us. Can you think of some humorous events you've had as being, wait, we got 30 seconds, so I'll tell you what. I want to remind everybody that we're doing this broadcast on Thursday. What's the date today? 27th. It'll be broadcast on Sunday. And we're broadcasting from the beautiful Jefferson Arms, which is a retirement center in downtown St. Louis. And I want to tell you, it is beautiful here, and they're keeping this place spick and span. So check it out. We're going back to the studios. We'll be back with you in about 3 or 4 minutes. See you later.
Oh my God! It was almost scared me to death. You almost didn't start at all.
I've still got Bob McDowell here, and Danny, my boy, just said, be sure you mention that those were the boats that John F. Kennedy served on, right?
And that's right. He was on PT 109, and I also patrolled with John Mitchell, who was the Attorney General of the United States.
What are you going to tell me a humorous thing that happened on one of those?
This was about the party the other day. I was saying that we were having a discussion. The boats were 80 feet long. They carried 3,000 gallons of high-octane fuel. One of the gentlemen came up in the middle of the conversation. We were having a discussion. We said, when you were fully loaded, how far could you go? And the guy said, well, I could only make it to the head.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's what you call a slow take. Oh. Okay. Bob and I do a lot of work sometimes for the Veiled Prophet and so forth, and he wrote a song, and I'm gonna play this song. I don't know why we didn't adopt this song. It's better than the one we got.
Thank you.
Okay? Hold on. This song is called At the VP Fair. Written by Bob McDowell. Words and music. At the VP Fair, where Louis... Hey, why don't you sing it, Bob?
I am not a singer, and I lost my voice at the PT reunion, but I'll give it my best.
Do you want me to put this thing down?
In G.
G, well, that's what you got.
At the VP Fair, St. Louis is where you'll find me. I'll be at the parade, hearing music that sets me free. Where the arch climbs to the sky, Mississippi rolls right by. I got a twinkle in my eye for old St. Louis. At the VP Fair, rockets burst in the air on the levee. Mr. Eads lights up the landing now and then. There's spirit in the air, a little laughter's everywhere. It's like the great St. Louis Fair all over again.
All over again. At the VP Fair. I would like to. Do we have our song quiz, or are we having the grand lady? Was it Proud Mama? Okay, let's do that now. Okay.
Our proud mama is Eugenia Karras. She has 10 children, 6 boys, 4 girls. You're usually playing the piano while I'm doing this? Sounds so nice. Not going to do it. 14 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren.
It's nice to see you, Eugenia.
For a long time. I haven't seen you for a long time. We were down at Peabody Playhouse last time I saw you, and I named 2 of your puppies at that time.
You named the 2 puppies we had? What did you name them?
Major and Minor.
Yeah, I had a couple of Cocker Spaniels, Major and Minor. They were the damnedest dogs. I wondered about my dogs because they would sit out in the backyard with their rear ends to each other and just look up at the sky. And Gene would say, "Are those dogs okay?" I said, "I'm not sure of them." It's a peculiar sight. Most dogs run around and have fun and chase rabbits. No, they sat on the back with their rear ends up to them. How do you pronounce your pardon?
Did they have magnets in their butts?
I never thought of that. Maybe that made them cling together. Sure, you can fit them on a refrigerator. Why not a rear end? Anyhow, Eugenia, is that Carace?
Karis.
Caris. 10 children, 6 boys, and it says 10 children, but it says 6 boys. Oh, 4 girls. 4 girls. 14 grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren. Hobbies are sewing, music. You like to dance?
Yes, I do.
What it says classical. Do you like classical music?
I do. Huh? Yes.
Well, that's my favorite too. Really. And the older I get, the more I like it, because so many things I hear today I just don't like at all. And but who's the Canadian, Eddie? Who's that great Canadian writer? The boy in Canada. David Foster. If you get a chance to hear any David Foster music, he's a new writer, a young man. Boy, he is something. And he's got some tapes out. And he's got a tape that is shown with music and scenes familiar to the writer. One is with his mother at a seaside, another with his mother sleeping in a bedroom, and another he's opening the bedroom door, and there's his mama there. But all the music fits. It's the first time a musician's mind is exposed about the music he's writing and why he's writing it. Okay? Wouldn't you like to have known what Johann Sebastian Bach was thinking when he wrote a fugue or a counterpoint or whatever? I always think of something when I'm playing. I have a mental picture of what I'm trying to convey. Huh?
Right.
I think everybody does, or you can't play very well. You live your whole life here. Now you live in St. Charles?
Yes, I have 2 children living over there, too.
Are you happy, lady? You look like you look like kind of an unflappable lady that nobody's going to shake you too much.
I hope not. I try.
Well, look, after there's been this many children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren, you've seen it all.
Right. Yes, I have.
How many of your marriages have gone to pot? Well, I'm serious now. A lot of divorces, man, from families that never had divorces are seeing divorces, and it. Huh?
Yeah, we have one daughter that just is separated, and it's just killing us because we've been married 53 years, and to think that a child is married 23 years and then they decide they don't want to be married anymore, that's heartbreaking.
And you say, after 23 years, you decided you can't get along? Huh?
That's not me, it's my child.
I know that. I know that, Eugenia. We have a lovely orchid for our grandmama rather, proud mama, 10 children. And do you do much sewing?
Yes, I do. I make my girls' wedding dresses, and I've dressed 3 or 4 miniature brides.
Boy, you must be good.
Oh, no, I wouldn't say that. I just enjoy it. I just finished making some tooth fairy pillows for my 2 grandchildren.
What kind of pillows?
Tooth fairy.
Tooth fairy.
Yes. Do you know what they are?
Yeah, sure. That's where you put the tooth under.
Right. In the pillow, and then the fairy puts the money in it.
Yeah, well, my grandfather, I only was about 6 or 7 when he passed away. I remember I was losing a tooth, and he made me tie my tooth to the door and then slam it. I never closed the door. Grandpa had to pull the string. I didn't have the courage. A nice hand for our proud mom. Well, I would like to acknowledge, since this is the only time I really could do this, and get the song quiz people up, will you, Debbie? A very good friend of mine and a former boss of 37 years was the late Joseph Pulitzer, who passed away yesterday. And of course, today is that you hear this show. It's on Sunday from the Jefferson Arms, but Joe Jr. passed away yesterday on Wednesday. And I had a couple of songs. First of all, I taught him piano. And he was a pretty good pianist. And as a matter of fact, his son mentioned in the Post-Dispatch that Russ David taught him piano. As a matter of fact, it was Russ David who said, why don't you skip the newspaper and go into the arts, because he loved painting and sculpturing, and he could have afforded almost any career he chose. And he said, Russ, I'm expected to be a newspaper man. And so he was, and he was an exceptional good man. Anyhow, I have two songs here. One is, if I can find it, the first one was a song in New York that Joe was very fond of. And so I believe strongly in heaven and hell. And this is for you, Joe. This was a song called Cabin in the Sky. When I was in New York doing some writing, there was a big sign at 42nd Street of this show called Cabin in the Sky, and Ethel Waters was the star. Dottye has a song which was his very favorite, and nobody ever asked for it except Joe Pulitzer Jr. It was called The Folks Who Live on a Hill.
Someday we'll build a home on a hilltop high, you and I, shiny and new, a cottage that two can fill, and we'll be pleased to be called the folks who live on the hill. Someday we may be adding a thing or two, a wing or two. We will make changes as any family will, and we'll be pleased to be called the folks who live on the hill. Our veranda will command a view of meadows green, the sort of view that seems to want to be seen. And when the kids grow up and leave us, we'll build a home on a hilltop high, you and I, Baby and Joe, who used to be Jack and Jill, the folks who like to be called what they have always been called, the folks who live on the hill.
Now, we have a song quiz, and I want you ladies to listen closely, because this all has to do with World War II, because that's what most of this program is about. But there was a band, an orchestra, that played for Bob Hope, and they were overseas with him a lot, and they played this song. I want the orchestra leader's song, his name, not Bob Hope. I want the band leader's name. He had singers like Francis Langford, Maxwell, Butch Stone, and what a writer this guy was. Well, just put it down. If you heard that, it was right. Okay, now. I'm playing a little theme song over here. I want to know who the sax player was with Glenn Miller, who sang Chattanooga Choo Choo, Ida, Jukebox Saturday Night. Just put the man's name down. He lived here in St. Louis a long time. Okay. You remember this song? You know that, Bill Eller? That's a part of your vintage and my vintage. Well, who was the orchestra leader who was lost over the English Channel? Just put that down. I put the White Cliffs of Dover because that's how you got into England from the south. Okay. Which female singer, here was her theme. Who's the black lady that's got this wonderful interview show in the afternoon? What's her? Oprah. She'd have, if this lady that I'm talking about were living, she'd have her on and tell her how to reduce. Because that's all they do on that show is tell you how to lose weight. Anyhow, but she sang a song called God Bless America, and she had an exclusive agreement with Irving Berlin that she recorded and nobody else, and they kept that. So put her name down. Okay? Okay. Dottye, I want you to come up here a minute. Dottye, I want you to sing this song. Which song in World War II began with the words, "Praise the Lord"? We're going to give you this one.
This is a giveaway. Praise the Lord, pass the ammunition. Praise the Lord, pass the ammunition. Praise the Lord, pass the ammunition, and we'll all be free. Praise the Lord, we're on a mighty mission. All aboard, we're not a-going fishing. Praise the Lord, pass the ammunition, and we'll all be free.
Okay, that's number 5. So you got that for nothing, okay? Praise the Lord, pass the ammunition. Number 4, the singer that did God Bless America, was Kate Smith. The orchestra leader who was lost over the English Channel, you should have gotten that one. That had been Glenn Miller. Who was the saxophone player with the Glenn Miller Orchestra who sang Chattanooga Choo Choo, Ida, and Jukebox Saturday Night, and a whole bunch of songs, and used to live in St. Louis, out in South St. Louis. And he made some of the original Budweiser spots with me. His name was Tex Beneke. Tex Beneke. Whose orchestra played for Bob? This seems to be the toughest one. Whose orchestra played for the Bob Hope show? Les Brown. When Les Brown was in town many years ago, when I had the television show on Sundays for Fun Fair, called Tri-City Grocery Stores, I begged Les to be on the show, and he had a 15-piece orchestra, and he said, "How can you afford it?" I said, "I can't afford it." I said, "But my budget is $900, and you got it all. That means that I'm going to have to pay for the announcer and the musicians. Can you do it for $900?
he brought the whole band in for 900. Les Brown. Oh, what a day that was, baby. Woo, woo. Anyhow, those are the tunes. How did they do, Debbie?
Well, we had Shirley Waterman and Ruth Tracy playing, Dad, and Ruth Tracy is the winner.
Well, that's good.
And you know what? We have left over from when I was in school. I think it was Shirley Waterman had, who did you have for the first one for the orchestra leader? She had Harry James. She knew it was wrong. Nobody was watching her. She crashed it all out.
I don't think that Harry ever played with... Harry played with a lot of band leaders, but not that one. Boy, I'll tell you one thing. I never saw a guy could handle his liquor like Harry. Never ever saw him tight. Some guys can drink. I couldn't drink. They'd lay me down on the floor. I'd never get up again. Now, when you talk about World War II, and incidentally, Bob Newkirk, I'd like you to pick out a couple songs. Incidentally, Bill, come up here quickly, will you? Bill Eller. Bill Eller was formerly with Dorsey McManus. Bill was a part of the team that I worked for with Darcy for 15 or 20 years, and we did all the things for the Clydesdale Horses, the Proud Ones, and we did Where There's Life, There's Bud, we did Bush Bavarian Beer, we did all kinds of things, and he brought me this tape.
It's from November the 24th, 1956 in Chicago at 6:30 in the morning after recording all night, and I don't think he had one of them.
I'll tell you something. This is the best jam session I ever had in my life. It is so wonderful. And we just kept playing and playing and playing. And you take another course. No, you take one. And it just get, huh?
You missed the 1:30 flight.
I missed everything. I missed everything, Bill.
It was a great session.
I'll tell you, Billy.
Universal Studios.
Those commercials had so much class, those ones we did for Bud.
That's right. You can't beat them now.
Oh, no. No, we got... My favorite was... the latter one was... doot, 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 doot. Doot, 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 doot. Yes. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Here comes the king, the kingdom of kings. God, I hope Mike Rorty doesn't hear this show. He'll die.
Friend in the sky.
Oh, yeah, Bob Johnson. I meant to mention that because we had all kinds of people in here last night at Grant's Farm, and we had the Coca-Cola executives, we had the lumber people who sponsor all those paper products the ladies use so much of. We had can't win. Can you ladies pick it up like a... You just go, you pick it up, and then you wind up with it all over your face. But all of these executives were in, and they didn't know about those days. They're too old, too young to know about what went on and how this happened. That whole Budweiser thing was a fluke. The original commercial was made for a magazine ad, Bill. Wasn't supposed to be on the radio. Going to made for a magazine ad to sell the magazine to the media, and the media says, why don't you make a radio commercial? And I made that with myself, my wife Jean, Artie Sheeler, and another guy. The four of us lucked in. Huh? Oh yeah, well, Beneke, Tex Beneke was on it. We had everybody. Oh, I'll tell you one of those I liked was the one with Buddy Greco. Huh? And then we did all the things for the Sinatra show when we sent all those tapes in, when he had Nelson Riddle. Oh, listen, what a thrill to hear your music played by a 50-piece orchestra, and you're sitting there listening, and it's yours. Oh, man, it's wonderful. Just a positive thrill. If you talk about World War II, you got to do this. Oh, you back, Bob? This is the biggest. Chopper's ball. Tom Kennedy, our bass player. Oh yeah. Thank you, Bob Newkirk. Thank you, Debbie Lewis, for that nice rendition. I want to remind you that I'm playing a Kauai piano here. Exclusive dealer in St. Louis is the Williams Music House. And I can't tell you how lucky I am to have such a beautiful piano, because this piano is absolutely gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Thank you. And I'd like to remind you that without the great piano like that, it wouldn't be possible. Kauai is enclosed by Williams Music House. That's in Florissant, Missouri, 3421 North Highway 67. The number there is 839-4400, and it is a beautiful piano. Dottye is going to leave you. I think Bob Newkirk is going to
stand will come back because we're going to entertain you in a few moments after we leave the air. Thank you for listening to us, and get in touch with us at 436-4600 for your reservations. And thank you for coming to see us.
The sun is shining, and so the right thing to do is make it shine for you. A heart full